2 years ago, AI couldn't spell the word burrito in an image. Look, this week that changed, and it is a bigger deal than you think. Also, SpaceX, they want to buy a code editor for, $60 billion. And Snap fired 1,000 people because AI, it writes their code. And Amazon just dropped $33 billion on one AI company. Welcome back to AI Front Page. Let's get into it. This might not sound like the biggest story of the week at first, but let's just stay with me here because this one quietly changes how millions of people are going to use AI. So OpenAI, they launched ChatGPT Images 2.0. And the headline feature, okay, get ready. All generated images that can actually spell. If you've used an AI image generator anytime over the last 2 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Ask it to make a restaurant menu and you're gonna get items like enchilada, burrito, Cheerios. Ask for a street sign and you're probably gonna get unreadable gibberish. Text in AI images has been broken since day one, and it is the biggest single reason why AI images couldn't be used for anything professional. Well, the reason it was so bad comes down to how old the models work. Diffusion models, which powered DALL-E 3, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, they reconstruct images from noise. So they treat words as visual partners, not actual language. They're painting shapes that look like letters, but they have zero understanding of spelling. It's like, you're asking someone who doesn't read English to copy a paragraph by looking at it, upside down. Now, Images 2.0 clearly works on a different architecture. Now, OpenAI, they wouldn't confirm exactly what's under the hood. They dodged the question in a press briefing, but researchers suspect that it uses an auto-regressive approach, similar to how large language models work. Instead of denoising pixels, it predicts what should come next in the image, which means actually it understands the difference between burrito and Berto. The results are dramatic. Clean menus, readable product labels, properly spelled signage, accurate infographics. Listen, two years ago, these were all impossible. And now I want you to think about who cares about this. Small businesses who want to generate marketing materials, designers who need quick mock-ups, content creators who want branded graphics, e-commerce sellers who need product packaging concepts. So every single one of those use cases was blocked by the text problem. Well, that wall just came down. Now, this isn't a flashy model drop or a billion-dollar deal. It is the kind of quiet improvement that actually changes how real people use the product every day. And it's going to unlock a massive wave of AI-generated content that looks professionally made because for the first time, it actually can be. From image generation to code generation. Now, this is one of the wildest deal story in AI this year. SpaceX, yes, the rocket company, they just announced a partnership with Cursor. Cursor is the AI-powered code editor that developers, they cannot stop talking about it. Now, the deal includes an option for SpaceX to acquire Cursor outright for, $60 billion. Yeah, $60 billion for a code editor. Cursor was valued at $2.5 billion in January 2025. That went up to $9 billion in May, and then it went to $29.3 billion when they closed their Series D in November. So now we're talking about $60 billion. That's a 24-time increase in the past 18 months. The Elon Musk web, this connects everything here because xAI is already renting compute to Cursor for model training. Two of Cursor's most senior engineers, they recently left to join xAI, reporting directly to Musk. And SpaceX is offering its colossal supercomputer, which they claim has the equivalent power of 1 million Nvidia H100 chips to help build Cursor's next model. So SpaceX says later this year, it's either going to pay Cursor $10 billion for the collaboration, or they're going to buy the whole company for $60 billion. This is clearly about making SpaceX's upcoming IPO more attractive. A rocket company that also owns the most popular AI coding tool, look, that is a very different pitch to investors. And AI coding tools, well, they aren't developer utilities anymore. They're being valued like platform companies. AI layoffs. Snap, they laid off about 1,000 employees this week, and they closed over about 300 open roles. That is roughly a quarter of their planned headcount. Gone. The reason, CEO Evan Spiegel said, rapid advancements in artificial intelligence. They allow smaller teams to achieve the same output. The number that's getting everybody's attention here is that AI now generates more than 65% of Snap's new code. 2/3 of all new code at a major tech company is written by AI, not humans. And the company's response was to cut the humans. That restructuring saved Snap over $500 million a year. The stock, boom, jumped up 11%. Now, this isn't the theoretical, AI, it may or may not take our jobs headline anymore. This is the real one. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, well, this is the stuff that we cover every single week. The stories that actually matter, explained in plain language. Hit subscribe. All right, let's keep going. Now, Amazon just invested another $5 billion in Anthropic. Well, the company behind Claude, but that's not even the headline. The total commitment between the two companies is now over $33 billion. Anthropic has pledged to spend more than $100 billion over the next 10 years on Amazon Web Services infrastructure. We're talking about the chips, the data centers, the tools, all to train and deploy Claude. So this is the largest financial partnership in the history of AI. Bigger than Microsoft's deal with OpenAI, and it effectively locks Anthropic into the AWS ecosystem for the next, decade. Now, Amazon gets one of the top AI companies as its anchor tenant, and Anthropic gets guaranteed access to nearly 5 gigawatts of compute, with about 1 gigawatt coming online by the year's end. The AI arms race, it isn't just about building smarter models anymore. It is about who controls the infrastructure. And Amazon just made, the biggest bet on the table. Google dropped some serious AI updates to Google Maps and Google Earth at Cloud Next this week, and these are aimed squarely at businesses. Now, the biggest one is called Maps Imagery Grounding. So you can now type a prompt into Google's Gemini platform, and it'll generate a realistic scene inside Google's Street View. This is showing you what a construction project, a movie set, a renovation might potentially look like at a specific real-world location. And you can even use Google's Veo tool to animate the scene. Then there's Aerial and Satellite Insights, a new feature that lets businesses analyze satellite imagery stored in Google's Cloud BigQuery, turning what used to take weeks of manual analysis and does it in minutes. They also launched 2 new Earth AI imagery models that are trained to identify objects in satellite images, in bridges, roads, power lines, without companies needing to spend months building and training their own systems. So this isn't flashy, consumer-facing AI, but for construction, for real estate, for film production, disaster response, and urban planning, this is the kind of thing that completely changes how work gets done. YouTube expanded its AI likeness detection tool this week beyond just politicians and public officials. Now, any celebrity or high-risk individual and their representatives can use the tool to find and flag unauthorized deepfakes. So this has been a growing problem. AI-generated celebrity endorsements, fake interviews, voice clones used in scam ads. And look, it's gotten out of control. And YouTube is basically giving talent a Find My Face button to track down fakes across the platform. And it doesn't automatically remove the content, but it gives creators and their teams a way to identify violations and request takedowns faster. Now, given how quickly deepfakes spread, speed matters. Agents for creative work, Nvidia and Adobe announced a collaboration this week that combines Nvidia's agent toolkit and Nematron models with Adobe's creative platform. And the result? AI agents that can automate content creation, editing, and even decision-making for enterprise marketing teams. They showed a live demo with WPP, which is one of the biggest advertising firms in the world, where these agents, they handled end-to-end ad production workflows. So we are talking about AI that doesn't just generate one image or write one headline, it runs the whole process. So if you work in creative marketing or advertising, look, this is worth paying attention to because the tools that they used to assist your work are, well, they're starting to do your work. One more to close on, and it's equal parts funny and frightening. The Nebraska Supreme Court suspended attorney Greg Lake from practicing law after his appellate brief in a divorce case contained, get ready, 57 defective citations out of 63 total. 20 of those were AI hallucinations, completely fabricated cases. They were made up quotes and statutes that don't exist. The Lake repeatedly denied using AI. The court said his explanation, it lacks credibility. And here's the bigger picture. U.S. courts have imposed at least 145,000 in sanctions against attorneys for AI citation errors just in Q1 of 2026 alone. Look, lawyers are using AI to write legal documents. They're not checking the output, and they're getting caught over and over again. AI is a powerful tool, but if you use it without verification, especially in a professional context where accuracy is literally the job, it'll embarrass you in the most public way possible. Well, that's your AI news for the week. 60 billion code editors, 1,000 layoffs, 33 billion partnerships, and a lawyer who let ChatGPT write his brief and got suspended. Question for the comments. Does the Snap layoff story, does it scare you, or do you see it as an inevitable shift? Tell me what you think. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.